Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the introduction to my many-to-many resource stations. This is my personal solution to some of the issues that the chains have in vanilla. You could say, abused some vanilla game mechanics to make the trains behave better. Much of the stuff I didn't come up with myself. I've learned it by watching other people, and I've basically adopted different methods and combined them into one package, you could say. Right, so what do I have? I have a loading station and an unloading station for solids and for fluids. The stations are expandable in the sense that I've deliberately made them fairly long so that you can fit very long trains in. They are set up for 1-for-1 trains, but if you want longer trains, it is fairly easy to modify the stations for that. When a train comes in, it goes up here. Right. Once it passes this rail signal over here, it is counted as having entered the station system. You can see here these lamps will increase by 1 if we want to try that real quick. Right. And this can happen multiple times, of course. However, and down here there is another rail signal down here that will track when a train leaves and remove that train from the counter. If you watch this rail signal, you can see that the moment that we enter 3 trains in the station, it will disable itself and no train can enter the station anymore. This is intentional. Let me fix this up here real quick again. As with the current setup, 1-for-1 trains, I can fit exactly 3 trains, 1 in the station and 2 out here waiting for the station to be free again. The advantage here is that the next train is really close already to keep the station going. But if you have a longer train, you're going to have less space for extra trains, and if you go all the way over here, you might not be able to fit in any trains. So you're going to have to adjust the system for that. The many rail signals up here. This is a descent visor tail. And what happens is that when these are closed using circuitry, they apply a path penalty of 1000 tiles to the segment they are attached to. And you can use this to make trains split up between stations. So a train will choose the closest station with the name that it is looking for. But by manipulating these signals, I can make the train think that this station is further away than it actually is, thereby making it choose a different station. And they are turned on and off based on item fill levels in these containers, or to be exact, depending on how many trains it could serve. So it could serve the maximum amount of trains that these buffer chests are able to serve, then all the signals will be green. And if there are no items in here, this is a loading station, right? So since I have no items in here, all the lights will be turned red. So this station, each one of them has 2 stations. The actual load station and a load waypoint station. You need to rename these according to the resource that you want to vary in them, right? Like such, iron plates, load waypoint. That's how it would have to look. And the same is true for the actual load station. So load station over here, you would prepend or append, depending on your preferences, the resource that you want in the station. These are designed to serve only one type of resource at a time, so only iron plates, for example. If you start mixing resources, an alarm will go off. So if this is an iron plate station and it already has iron plates in the buffer, you send a train in with copper plates because maybe you mixed up the schedules or something. These inserters will not be allowed to unload or to load. And instead we will have an alarm that goes off. that you will hear across the map. And it will warn you that you got your resources mixed. Right. Why do I have 2 stations here? So the way this looks is that you have multiple, let's say I want 5 stations for iron plates, right? I'd have 5 stations here. And a train comes in. Let's use an actual proper train here. Train's coming in. Right, it's said this station is free, it goes in here. And I actually need to turn on the power. Yeah, anywhere is fine. Right, let's have you leave. There's a second counter back here. So this counter counts anything from this rail signal to this rail signal. But the counter back here counts anything from this rail signal to the one that's leading out of the station. All right. We need to actually just put a train here to update the system. So we're entering the station. We would arrive over here, this roughly, and then we would have space for 2 more trains over here. Once I have 3 trains in here, no more trains can fit. What happens that in the stacker, notice the outbound. Here. What happens is that in the stacker, the trains that are waiting to join a station, and maybe they're all looking to join the same station, but the station's already taken up, they will have to wait here for up to 5 seconds to find the next station that they can go to. So 5 seconds wait time. At the start of the game, that's maybe not so much. You don't much care about 5 seconds lost here and there. But once you have a lot of trains and they're all going fast and you need the items, it actually starts mattering. So what I've done is I've created a system that makes the train look first for a waypoint station. And this is the station that I turn on and off depending on how many trains there are in the station. So if the station is taken up, it has 3 trains in it, this waypoint station will turn itself off, and any train that was trying to also go to this waypoint station will instead be forced to immediately, with no downtime, recalculate the path to the next best station, which might be in this case this one, right? And that's basically how I make these trains not stop over here uselessly, but instead they just trickle in one after the other and go to their stations and fill them up. Right, so back to the station. Beyond that, I also have a couple settings that you can adjust here. So in the first of these 3 settings combinators, this one tells you or you can set here how many buffer chests you have and how big the buffer chests are. So in this case, these steel chests have 48 slots. That's why my N is 48 and K is how many I have. And of course, I currently have 48 of the steel chests, as you can see. In here, you basically do the same with the wagons. How many wagons does the train have and how big are the wagons? This is important if you're playing modded. With this combinator, you can turn the station on and off. So this black square, if I turn it to 0, the station is turned off. Right, you can see here it's blinking red. And also this lamp tells you that the station is turned off for whatever reason. So it might be that you've turned it off manually, or maybe you use the latch, which is over here. So This is not the case for loading stations, but for unloading stations, let's actually go down here. We can see it here properly. Unloading stations, they have the latch turned on, and they have an upper threshold and a lower threshold. Right now we can serve at least 10 trains and 1 wagon, right? So this display down here, as you can tell from the legend over here, tells you how many trains the station can serve, and on top of how many trains it can serve, it can also serve fractional trains, in this case at least 10 trains and 1 more wagon of the next train. If you want to know the exact number, you either mouse over this power pole, or better yet, you go to this combinator and you look at the output signal, T14, so we could serve 14 trains and 1 wagon would be left over. So this lower threshold, what happens is that when the station, the amount of trains it could serve dips below 3, the station turns itself off until it can serve 10 trains again. Right? Less than this is when it turns off, and more or equal to this is when it turns itself back on. And with this you can turn this system on and off. So I have turned it off for loading stations, because obviously it's bad if you have no destination for trains to go to. If both all the unloading stations and all the loading stations have turned off, your trains get stuck in the middle of the traffic and no path. So I've taken care of that. The final setting is this. This is simply how many of these rail signals you have in the decentivizer tail, right? 68 signals. That's the number you enter into this combinator as the value for C or Z. Right, what else? There are a whole bunch of constant combinators over here, and they contain all the items in the game, in the base game, stacked or sorted according to the stack size. So all the items that have a stack size of 50 are together, right? That's this one. All the items that have a stack size of, what is this, 10, I think? Yep, all the items that have a stack size of 10 are together in this. And this is basically the exact same thing as the cargo capacity checker. If you play modded, you're going to have to add items to this thing. What this is for is that you can at least in vanilla, you can simply stamp down these stations, and you do not have to specify anywhere in the settings combinators what resource and what the stack size of that resource is going to be, right? This handles it for you automatically. You simply print this down, you fix the stations up, and that's it. The only time you're going to have to do more stuff is if you're playing modded, and with a mod that adds more items, then you're going to have to add them to the right constant combinator, but you only will have to do that once, right? Then you just blueprint it and you have it available. I am trying to write a script that does it for you, but I'm kind of okay with combinators, but I'm not that great at coding, so I'm having some issues there. And yes, you only need to add them with the value of 1. The stack size itself is actually taken care of by these arithmetic combinators over here, same as at the cargo checker. Right. I believe that is it for the stations. How to actually use them, how they look when used together with the other modules, as well as what these things do. I will explain that in an actual how to use video. Thank you very much for watching.